So welcome to our evening restorative or resting or getting ready for sleep kind of practice. Tonight, we'll be doing a little bit of movement, and then the big focus for tonight is our iRest practice. I wanted to share with you something that I was reading in my one of the magazines I get as a yoga therapist, and they're quoting Brene Brown. Maybe you've seen some of Brene's stuff on YouTube or TED Talks. I think she's out of Texas. I think that's where she's from. But she wrote a book apparently called Daring Greatly. I haven't read the book, but I'm intrigued to do that now. And this is a quote from the book. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. I'll go over that again because there's a lot in there. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. I find that a really powerful quote, and I think it could really inspire us for our practice this evening. Because there's so many parts of ourselves. Hi, everybody who's just signing in. We're just starting in a seated position. And I'll just say that quote one more time so that everybody kind of knows where we're coming from. So the quote is from Brene Brown, and it's, because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. So tonight in yoga, I thought we might work with this idea that, we don't want people to see our warts and our imperfections. We always want to try to, cover up or put a better face on it. And really our own level of self-acceptance is how we'll feel like we belong in the world, like we earned our place in the world, like we're safe in the world. So it's not about the number of credentials you have or how much money you have or how many people report to you. It's your own level of self-acceptance. So we're working on that maybe in yoga class tonight with our movement and our breath. And we can also work on that during our iRest practice later. So we're starting in a seated position. I'm going to move over to my mat. And we'll maybe close our eyes for a quick second. So I'm going to set myself up so that I have good support under my tushy. And remember, using a chair is highly recommended. If there's any stiffness in the back or the hips or the knees, or you just don't want to get all the way down to the floor yet. And just settle into the seat for a moment, acknowledging the shape that your body is making in this moment, and beginning the process of self-acceptance. And I have a little suggestion to help us with that. If you'd like, you could take your left hand and place it over the center of your chest, where us yogis think about their spiritual heart, and then take the right hand over top of that. Bring the pads of your thumbs together and the other fingers spread out apart from each other, and let your hands rest lightly on this area of your chest. Begin by noticing the natural movements of your breath under your hands. No need to artificially deepen your breath or force yourself anywhere at this point, but simply observe your breath just as it is. And you probably will feel some awareness of your hands resting on the center of your chest. And maybe your palms are helping you to heighten your awareness of any sensations in the center of your chest, any mood that's coming from there. And I'm hoping that this particular positioning of your hands where they are is fostering a sense of connection back into yourself. After a busy day of giving away to everyone else, giving away to all the external demands, in the evening, let's take this and bring it back inside. If you like, you can let the positioning of your hands and body right now be like a warm hug back into the heart center. A message moving into the body that you are welcome here. Whatever sensations or movements come to us as we practice yoga tonight are welcome and valued. And it's just lovely that you've carved out this time to have this relationship and communication with your body. We'll just take maybe a couple more breaths here, bringing this little virtual hug into the heart center. Then when you're ready, maybe we can come into some simple movement from this position. So let's take the legs and stretch them out in front of you. So if you were sitting on a chair, you might want to come down onto the floor now. I'm going to flatten out my legs just a little bit. I don't want quite the same amount of height now that my legs can be straight. Wiggle your toes a little bit, roll the ankle joints a little bit in both directions. And then when you're ready, let's take the right knee, bend the right knee, and let it fall out to the side. Now you're welcome to have a pillow or rolled blanket to kind of support you here if letting your leg go right to the floor feels just not very comfortable. And the straight leg, you're welcome to have a little bend in that knee, especially if your back is tight from whatever you had to do today. We're just going to flow a little bit here with our breath. So when you inhale, let's lift the arms up, elongate the spine. Exhale, hinge at the hips and flow in the direction of the forward leg, not all the way down. Inhale, come back up, ears in between the upper arms. So the neck is staying in line with the rest of the spine, a real kindness for the neck. And let's just take a couple more breaths here. So we're not forcing ourselves into a deep stretch. It would be very unkind to do that, I think, after a long day. Just a little bit of opportunity to breathe and move together. Good. And then we'll inhale up, drop this arm back, and stretch the front of the body. Circle the arm around as you exhale, comes towards the forward leg, and then inhale, lift back up. So there's this kind of circular movement coming into the upper torso. Maybe just one more breath like that. Good. And then we can let that go. We can bring this knee to an upright position and have some space between this leg and this leg. So one fist width or even more, whatever you need. And now we're going to let the other arm have a little bit of action. So the same knee that's bent, that arm can inhale up and exhale, sweep over to the opposite side of the body. And inhale, sweep up. And exhale, sweep over to the other side of the body. So again, it's an easy movement. We're not trying to create any specific shape. This is just a kind of a get to know you exercise. How's your day been? How are you feeling? What's going on in there? Beautiful. And then we can let that go. Just come back to a neutral position for a second and just observing how these simple movements timed with breath can bring us to a place of greater self-acceptance if we let them. Bend the other knee, let it fall out to the side. Remember, cushioning here is fine. Bending this knee is fine. We want to be really kind to yourself tonight. And then when you're ready to breathe again, we'll inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale, hinge at the hip towards the front leg. We're not trying to get to the toes, and we're not, trying to stretch any hamstrings or any of the things that we could be working on in this posture under other circumstances. This is a releasing of the day. This is an opening to the possibilities of what it would feel like to be more self-accepting. Take one more breath. And then we'll inhale up dropping the other arm back behind you. And when you inhale again, really lift and stretch the front of the body. And then we can sweep across and lift. As you inhale, stretch the front of the body and stretch across. Maybe one more breath like this. And then we'll lift the knee up, place the foot on the floor. There's a space here, so we're not feeling crowded at all. And now the other arm gets to play. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And maybe one more breath, just as we get to know ourselves tonight. Okay. And then coming back to a neutral position. And just feeling any changes that might be happening in your body as we move through this sequence. All right. Let's come up to our knees. Now, if you find it difficult to kneel on your knees like this, then let me show you an alternative you could do using a chair. So you don't have to use a chair, but if knees are sore tonight, why not take that kindness? So we'll be leaning forward onto the chair like this instead of being on the knees. So arranging yourself with whatever props you need. I like some cushioning under my knees because I'm working on a hardwood floor. Let's take the hands to the sacrum behind us, palms facing out. And as we inhale, extend the spine again. And as we exhale, hinging at the hips, controlling our flow towards the chair or the floor. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, forward fold. Let me show you something else you can add to this if you care to. You can inhale up, taking the arms behind you, interlacing, and then exhale forward. Now, if you're going to interlace your palms, you want to make sure that you've never dislocated your shoulder and that this feels comfortable. If that feels uncertain for your shoulders, then please go back to what we were doing earlier with the arms lifting just straight up. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And you can take a short break if you like in either extended child's pose, or if you are standing, you could take a down dog with the chair. A chance to elongate the spine and really let go of anything you've been storing in there throughout the day. And then when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to come over onto your back. I'm going to be doing a little bit of movement from here. I'm going to cushion my spine. You might want to do that too. Come down onto your back, bend your knees, stand the feet on the floor. We're in no hurry tonight. Stop for a sip of tea now. And settle yourself into a somewhat comfortable position. Re-engage with your breath. And try to bring your feet into a parallel position, the way they would be in mountain pose, for example. And the heels kind of close into the buttocks so that the knees kind of end up over top of the ankles. You can play around a little bit in bridge pose. And this is the version of bridge pose where you can take your arms back behind your head. So let me just rearrange here a little bit so my chair doesn't get in my way. There we go. It's important to keep the gaze up at the ceiling when you're working in bridge pose. So pick whatever arm you'd like to start with. This is a version of bridge pose that might really help us release from behind the heart center.
So when you're ready to inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips. Take your arm back behind your head. Exhale, lower down, trying to make everything move in one kind of unit. So at the peak breath, your arm is stretched out. And just as you finish the last of your breath, your hips and your arm touch right down. And you start the breath before you start the movement. If you want to, you can work a little bit differently with this. You can leave the left arm or whatever arm you're working with back behind you. And as you exhale, lower the hips by themselves. And you can start to be really slow and patient with that lowering down, that exhale. It can start getting longer if you want than the inhale. Try that for one more breath. And then the next time you lower down, bring the arm back down like you were before, so that everything is back in the previous position. Sometimes we call this constructed rest. Take a moment to welcome the sensations from both sides of your body as we work towards self-acceptance, and it's a lifelong journey, if not multiple lifelong journeys. We want to try to be willing to accept the information on each side of the body, even though we might have a big story about this shoulder or this side of the back. Just letting it be, letting it talk to you in its own language. Let's move the other arm now. Inhale and exhale. Remember, you're trying to start the breath before you start the movement. And if you want to, you can leave this arm back behind your head and continue the movement with the hips, elongating the exhale, taking more time to let the hips come back down. And we're still trying to start the breath before we start the movement. So I start the inhale before I start lifting the hips, and I start the exhale before I start lowering them. So the breath is really more important than where I'm moving. In this exhale, we could bring everything back down to the ground. Just take a moment to observe how that feels. I like the evening practices because it feels like, you've kind of ticked off most of your to-do list for the day, and this is all about winding down and, taking more time for yourself. So with all that luxury of time, maybe I'll use both arms. This really starts to open up my upper back. So see what you think. Inhale and exhale. And we're still following the principle that we want the breath to start before we do the movement. So I'm starting to exhale. Now I start to move the arms. I'm starting to inhale. Now I lift the hips. And then you can leave the arms back on the floor behind you, lower the hips by themselves, and really take your time with that. See if you can feel this movement peeling apart the tension in the upper back behind the heart center. This is where I tend to store a lot of the judgments and guilt and shame that I didn't measure up. So it's kind of nice to be able to let that go little by little, movement by movement. And then let's come back on this exhale to constructed rest pose. noticing if you feel like it would be possible to be kinder to yourself in this moment, more accepting of all layers of your experience and all levels of who you are. Okay. Let's pick up the hips, just like we were doing a second ago, and plop them down on the left side of your mat. Let the right leg stretch out. Bring the left knee in and support the leg with the opposite arm. We're going to come towards a spine twist here, a spinal twist. Because of the general mood of our class tonight, winding down, kindness to oneself, self-acceptance, I'm not going to try to get this knee all the way to the floor. That's really not my goal. I'm actually supporting the leg with this arm rather than pulling on it or forcing it. And then I'm going to hang out here. Be happy with exactly where I've reached. Take a few deep breaths. So I'm not looking for a lot of deep sensation. I just want to feel, looked after. I want to feel as though someone's caring for me. So I've come out of the posture, moved my hips back to the center of the mat for a few breaths to find a neutral place to rest. And then we can do the other side. So pick your hips up, plop them down on the right side of your mat, stretch out the left leg, bring the right knee in, and again, a gentle rotation through the hips. My shoulders are relaxed back to the ground. If you pull your right leg so far across your body that your right shoulder blade lifts, you're pushing too hard. There's no need to do that to yourself tonight. If you want, you close your eyes and take a few deep, slow breaths. As you breathe through the nose in a slow, measured way, every one of your cells is receiving a wonderful pranic bath. Is there a place in your body that you could relax just a little bit more? Release the effort in just a little bit more. And then you can lift back up, feet on the floor, and bring your spine in alignment with the center of the mat again. And we'll just take a moment to observe. Is there any other movement that you feel would help you discharge the day so you could be still for about 20 to 25 minutes? So take whatever movement you need. And we'll get ready to move into our eye rest practice. So while you're getting yourself set up in a really comfortable way, you actually could practice eye rest sitting up. So maybe if you have a couch or an easy chair handy and you'd rather use that for eye rest practice, that's absolutely fine. And you don't have to be in like straight out Shavasana for this. You can use lots of pillows and blankets and other supports, couch cushions, so that you can be comfortable. So you choose what position you would be able to get to where you would be comfortable for, like I said, 25 minutes or so, quite a while really, longer than our normal Shavasanas that we've been doing. And so while you're getting set up, I'll just describe a little bit. You might be familiar with the eye rest protocol, but I'll just give you a little background perhaps. This was developed by a clinical psychologist by the name of Dr. Richard Miller. And he was a yogi and started to look at the ancient practice of yoga nidra and wanted to kind of make it updated, I guess, for the 20th century, because he's been doing this for over 30 years. I studied with Richard in California and was very impressed with how thoroughly he'd researched this. He's basically taken a lot of the yoga type words out of yoga nidra, and he's made it so that he's carefully studied the languaging to make it more welcoming and a little bit more a feeling of safety
for North American particular audiences. So he's done a tremendous amount of research. You can find it on his website, which I'm happy to put in the chat if you like. He's done a lot of work with PTSD, with the American vets coming back from various conflicts. He's worked with homeless people and pregnant people and sleepless people like me. So I hope you enjoy the protocol. The idea is to get as comfortable as possible without falling asleep. So making sure that you're warm enough. I know we're in summer, but as you relax, a lot of the blood circulation moves into the internal organs, so your extremities can feel cool. And if you feel cool, you might not be able to relax as well. So now what we're looking for here is kind of a specific brainwave pattern that's not really the same brainwaves as you'd have if you went to sleep. It's the same kind of brainwave patterns that you would have if you were doing some of the more traditional types of meditation. So very calm, very relaxed, but still awake and aware of what's going on. And you're welcome to turn down the lights in your space so that you feel a little bit more supported in your goal to relax for bed tonight. Now, we said that our theme kind of for our class was self-acceptance, and you'll notice in the script that we kind of weave that in and we work towards that in our iRest meditation. All right. So let's get started. If there's something that you can do to be 5 or 10% more comfortable, then please make that adjustment for yourself. And you're welcome to have closed eyes if you prefer. Just remember, our goal is not necessarily to fall asleep. Okay. Okay. And then we'll begin by just sensing where our bodies are. Feeling your legs and feeling your arms. Feeling the weight of your head as you rest back into your easy chair or the floor or your bed. Feeling the air naturally coming in and out of your nose. Feeling the rise and fall of your chest and belly as you rest comfortably. And making any final adjustments. We spend a lot of time kind of visiting or welcoming sensations from the body. And know that we're not looking for any particular thing to happen. We don't expect that we'll be perfectly relaxed or perfectly still. Our goal tonight is to work towards self-acceptance, and it might be a very long journey, and that's okay. One way you can kind of start to look at your body is as radiant sensation, and we'll work more on that as we go through the practice. But first, before we begin moving any deeper into the practice, I might invite you to set an intention for your iRest practice tonight. This could be to sleep better tonight, to work towards self-acceptance, or any other relevant intention is perfect. But it's nice to be really clear with the universe about why you're doing what you're doing. And take a moment to consider what you'd like to work with in your iRest practice. And then let's continue along this path and even work a little deeper perhaps into what would your real heartfelt desire be with your iRest journey over time. So what would you like to welcome more of into your life that would provide that deep soul satisfaction? And it's okay to ask for that right now. It's okay to go there and think about a heartfelt desire and articulate that to yourself right now. And then after communicating with yourself in this way, once again, let's open up our awareness into the body, really receiving from the body as though it's radiant sensation. So feeling the feet, the lower legs, the knees, the thighs, feeling the buttocks, the back, the shoulders, the arms, the elbows, the hands, feeling the expression on your face. And really start to get a little bit more comfortable with diving into the body as a pool of radiant sensation. Let's redirect for a brief moment and create a little haven for ourselves that we can come back to throughout this practice tonight. If you feel like you need to create a feeling of safety or a feeling of rest from the work that we're doing in this meditation, I would invite you to think about a place that you really enjoy visiting. And this might be a place that is actually in your world. Maybe you go there on vacation, or it's your backyard or something like that. Or it could be a place that you've read about in a book or seen in a movie. And, it really doesn't have to be an actual place. It could be more of a sensation or feeling, like floating on a cloud, or being cocooned by white light. This is entirely whatever comes to you first. And that's probably the best answer for tonight. But creating now a feeling or an image for yourself of this welcoming and nurturing place, a place where you would like to be, a place where you feel protected and valued, a place where you can really rest and recharge if you were there. And once you've got an image brought to your mind for this place, let's just take a little bit of time to experience being there in your mind. So you can look around in this image, and what time of day or night is it? Are you inside or outside? What are some other recognizable kind of landmark things that you would see in your imaginary, we'll call it the happy place for tonight? What are some of the sounds that you might hear if you were in this place right now, or any sounds at all? Are there any special odors or aromas that would bring you right there in your mind? What are your feet standing in? What kind of texture? Is it warm or cool? And is there anything else that really makes you feel transported to this place in your mind? Mostly, let's notice how we feel when we imagine being in this place where we would feel supported and valued and able to rest. And know that you can come back to this feeling whenever you choose to by reigniting this image in your mind. So keeping in mind that this is an inner resource that you can draw from whenever you want to. So let's move back into the ever-changing flow of sensations that is present in the body. May I invite you to notice the weight of your head resting onto your pillow or the back of the chair. Move awareness across the scalp, seeing if you can feel all those little hair follicles in your scalp. Awareness to the forehead, to the right eyebrow, and the left eyebrow. Space between the eyebrows. To the heaviness of the right eyelid and the left eyelid. The eyeball itself sinking into the skull. The right nostril receiving breath in and out of the body. And then the left nostril. And then both nostrils at the same time. Feeling the right temple, the right cheekbone, listening out of the right ear. And then feeling the left temple and the left cheekbone and listening out of the left ear. And then trying to listen out of both ears at the same time. Noticing your upper lip and the lower lip. Feeling your upper teeth and your lower teeth. Feeling the tip of your tongue, the back of your tongue, the right side of the tongue, and the left side of the tongue. And trying to see if you can expand your awareness so you feel the entire tongue, even as it moves down the back of the throat. Feeling the hollow tube of your throat and neck. Moving into awareness of the right collarbone, the right shoulder blade, the upper arm, the elbow, and the lower arm, wrist, the back of your right hand, the palm of your right hand, the thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and baby finger. Feeling the whole right arm from the fingertips back up to the shoulder. Cross the right collarbone to the left collarbone. Feeling the left shoulder, upper arm, elbow, lower arm, the wrist, the back of the left hand, and the palm of the hand, left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and baby finger. Moving awareness up from the left fingertips, arm, shoulder, to the left collarbone, to the middle of the chest, to the upper abdomen, to the lower abdomen, to the lower back, to the right hip, thigh, knee, and lower leg, ankle, your right heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and baby toe. Bringing the awareness back from the toes, up the right leg to the hip, across the low belly to the left hip, left thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, the left heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, and the left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, baby toe. And please allow your awareness to move up from the tip of your left toes through the ankle, knee, and back to the left hip, into the low belly, and up into the center of the chest. You may recall earlier in practice, we had our hands positioned over our chest. You may notice the same way you did then, any sensations or information that you might be feeling in the chest. Simply accepting any information, any radiant sensation that your body is sharing with you in this moment. And you may notice as you reside with your attention in the center of the chest that the chest is moving as you breathe. This is nothing that you're trying to make happen, of course, it just happens. Let's pay a little bit more keen attention to the movements of the chest and belly as you breathe. A natural rising or expansion of these areas as you breathe in, and a natural release in these areas as you breathe out. I'm going to invite you now to count backwards from 11 to 1, using each number to count your breath. So it's like you breathe in 11, breathe out 11, breathe in 10, breathe out 10, etc. Now, if you get to 1 before I do, just start again, counting backwards with your breaths. And if you lose track, you get distracted, it happens. Just please start again at 11. So let's start that practice now. 100% attention on your breath as you breathe in and out, counting backwards from 11 to 1. Good. And then let's let that practice off. And once again, become aware of our body as a pool of radiant sensation. And our intention through our practice tonight is hopefully to accept and receive from the body in its wisdom without wishing for anything different. So knowing whatever we discover in our practice tonight is the perfect experience for tonight. And know that at any time, if you feel like you need to relax or take a break from this practice, your inner resource or that lovely place you visualized earlier is waiting for you to help create those feelings of safety and value. I'd like to invite you to notice in your body if there's a place that's feeling warm. And simply notice the experience of being warm in that place in your body. Is there a place now that you could be aware of that's cool? The opposite. And just pay attention to the sensations of feeling cool in that place in your body. And what if we played with this a little bit and we went back to the place where you experienced warmth and then shifted over to the cool spot and then the warm spot again, moving back and forth at your own pace. And then is it possible that you could have a felt sense in your own body of being both warm and cool simultaneously? And then let's let that dissolve. Let that fade away. Still diving into the pool of radiant sensation that your body is opening for you. Is there a place in your body where you have felt quite relaxed at this point? A place that feels comfortable? Is it possible to open up to the sensations of comfort or relaxation just in that place, in that part of your body? And trying to experience relaxation in that part of your body or comfort there. And again, playing a little bit, deliberately opening up now to a place in your body that's not that comfortable, that feels a bit restless or hasn't been able to relax yet. Can you open up to this sensation with the same equanimity, the same welcome, the same compassion as you brought to the more comfortable sensations? And here we'll challenge our focus by deliberately shifting to the more comfortable place in your body and then back to the place that's not that comfortable. And dancing between these two opposites at your own pace. And then see if you can, not intellectually per se, but with a felt sense in your own body, embrace or understand that you could have both of these sensations simultaneously. Can you develop a felt sense of that? And then letting that dissolve, letting that go. Being aware of your breath, moving gently in and out of your body. And being aware of your entire body from the feet and the legs and the buttocks and the back, the shoulders and the arms and the hands, the weight of your head into your support. Being aware of the entire body as a radiant pool of sensation. Not trying to create any particular sensation or guide your body in any way, but receiving from the wisdom of this organism. I'd like to invite you to notice now if there's a particular emotion present for you. So any emotion that emerges first is the perfect one to play with for tonight. And see if you're able to identify that emotion and hold it in awareness for a short period of time. As you hold this emotion, whatever it is perfect, in your awareness, could you please also open your awareness into the radiant pool of sensation that is your body? You may notice as you focus on this particular emotion that there are specific thoughts or memories, images, or feelings that come to you, and all of that is welcome. And as you hold on and focus on this emotion and you open to the radiant pool of sensation that is your body, does this emotion seem to have a home in your body? Is there a sensation that seems to be predominant in your awareness at this time? And would you be able to stay open to that sensation in your body and be curious about it, be investigative? Where is it? Does it radiate out from there? How far does it go? What is the sensation? And then we'll temporarily put that aside if that's okay. And ask yourself, what would the opposite emotion be in your judgment? And deliberately, in the infinite inventory of emotions us human beings have, could you deliberately bring forward into your awareness this second and opposite emotion? And we'll do exactly the same thing. We'll hold it open if we can. Be as open as possible to any thoughts or memories or images that come to us as we hold open this emotion. And know that the body is a pool of radiant sensation that is ready and willing to communicate where it feels this emotion right now. So, what sensation is predominant when you consider this second and opposite emotion? Can you visit with this sensation in your body with openness and compassion, noting exactly where it is? Does it radiate out from there? How far does it go? And playing one more time with this, going back in your body to the place where you felt the first emotion, and then moving to the place in your body where you sensed the second sensation, toggling back and forth at your own time, experiencing both emotions and their accompanying sensations simultaneously. And then we can let that dissolve. Let all of that fade away. Resting. And becoming aware now that there was a part of you that was observing the sensations in your body, the sensations of relaxing into your inner resource, a part of you that was observing even emotion. Let's take a little bit of time now to visit with that part of you that was observing, that was peaceful and quiet and wise. A part of you that was willing to learn from the practice tonight. And know that this quiet, peaceful part of yourself is always with you. This is the place where we can come to find our self-acceptance. The time and place we can come to that we don't have to strive so hard. That we can feel like we truly belong. And that we're valued and necessary and alive. How does it feel to be in your body and in touch with that deep inner resource that you have, that sense of peace and well-being deep within? Just take a moment to experience being in touch with the self-accepting part of ourselves. And you may notice as you spend time with that part of yourself that you feel lighthearted or even joyful, that you feel the aliveness of your body. In a few moments, we'll be leaving this formal meditation, moving towards a nice night's sleep, I hope. But before you move too much, you may wish to just review, reflect on the journey we've shared together. When it is time to move a little bit, you can take a few deeper breaths. Very gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Bend your knees. And if you've been lying on the floor, roll over to your side. And eventually press up into a seated position. And if any of us were practicing in an easy chair, stay right where you are. I'd like to close the formal part of our class by sharing the sacred sound of Om. We bring our hands back together in a prayerful position at the center of the chest. And then inhaling. Thanks so much for sharing your evening. Namaste.